On talking silence, they unravel the tale. Every twist, every turn, never fail. Movies, TV shows, they add life and style. In the realm of pinnacle, we find a big out. I'm talking silence.
Blow-ups are often talked about a lot on the internet, from going from something bad to something good. Well, I don't think there has been a better glow-up than Hannibal in 2001 to Red Dragon in 2002.
I am the dragon.
Give me what I need.
Before me, you tremble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Silence. This is the limited series where we review every piece of media with the bad doctor, Hannibal Lecter, in it. I'm one-fourth of your co-host. My name is Ryan Cam, joined as always by Jason, the old millennial. Jason, how you doing?
Doing good, thank you.
Joined by Mr. Is a Dollarhide. Mr. Dollarhide, how you doing?
Hello, my name is Matt Dollarhide. And, and my mom said that she'll cut it off if I don't stop pissing my pants.
Technically his grandmother, but regardless, Dr. Graham, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Excited to get into this movie that I just finished like a few minutes ago.
Me too.
Oh, well, it's fresh, hot, and ready like a Krispy Kreme donut. But we are going
like
to
a
be
pile of shit.
Why do you got to make it sound weird?
We're going to be talking about 2002's Red Dragon. A retired FBI agent with psychological gifts is assigned to help track down the Tooth Fairy, a mysterious serial killer. Aiding him is imprisoned forensic psychiatrist Dr. Hannibal the Cannibal Lecter. This was directed by Brett Ratner. Boo! And the movie starred Anthony Hopkins, Edward Norton, Ralph Fiennes, Harvey Keitel, Emily Watson, Mary Louise Parker, and Philip Seymour Hoffman. And this movie was really good. I had not watched this movie in a good few years.
Man, this was such a great relief from the last movie, coming to this movie. It's like, wow, we're back. It was a great thriller. It reminded me a lot of Silence of the Lambs. It had a similar feel to it, which I really liked. It had some more tense moments. The last movie, I wasn't tense at all. This one, there's some really good tense moments that really got me. And this is the second time I've seen the movie. I saw it once, like maybe 10, 15 years ago on TV. And I thought it was pretty good back then. Rewatching it, I thought, wow, this is even better than I remembered it being. So, yeah, really good sequel.
If you would have told me Brett Ratner is a better director than Ridley Scott, I would say you're out of your freaking mind. But this is also Brett Ratner. I will say, look, regardless of how you feel about him as a person and all of his personal controversies inside, he's a good filmmaker because I'm watching this going, he did 100% better than Ridley Scott. I mean, you hear the name Brett Ratner, like the guy who made Rush Hour is a better director than Ridley Scott. When it comes to Hannibal, I mean, he had a better film. I mean, it's not even badly directed. Even I will say, I enjoyed this movie compared to Hannibal. And I will even say the direction is better in this movie. And, that's like everybody always like, well, the sad thing is Brett Ratner also had a better film in 2006 compared to Bryan Singer in Superman Returns compared to X-Men The Last Stand. X-Men The Last Stand was the better film out of the two, Superman Returns. And, and because Brett Ratner knows, hey, look, my movie is not going to be boring, entertaining. That's why I will say. I've never seen a Brett Ratner film besides Hercules that is bad, essentially made by Brett Ratner. So I'm like, so far, I mean, there's movies that are less enjoyable, but I mean, most of his movies are actually pretty good. And I'm just thinking look, regardless, again, not trying to defend what he's accused of. I'm just saying, as a director, his films are really good. And I enjoyed this movie a lot. And I'm like, it's the only thing I don't think is it's really shot on digital. That's the only thing I felt like watching it going, this movie feels like it was shot on digital because it's very blue. You could tell it's shoot with a blue lens or whatever because it just feels very digital. I'm watching this going, why? You could tell it's shot on a blue lens, and I'm like, this feels blue. The water feels blue. Even Will's shirt feels blue, and it's a white shirt. And I was like, Brett Ratner. That's the only thing y'all would have said. Look, we're trying to match Silence of the Lambs. Do you really have to shoot on a blue lens? Come on, man. Let's shoot on normal, okay? He's like, but it's got to look unique.
Yeah, I completely agree that that Red Dragon's way better than Hannibal because it was a tough movie to watch, and it's a movie I would not watch again. I would definitely watch Red Dragon over that movie any day. Who would have thought? I never even thought that Brett Ratner directed this movie until the credits started to roll in the opening of the movie. The guy who made Rush Hour 1 and 2 and 3, which I enjoyed, I love the first two movies. X-Men at Last Stand, not a great movie, but it still has some redeemable qualities. I separate the yeah, it's better than Superman Returns, but I put aside the controversy aside and just judge it as him as a director. His direction was so much better. It looked like we were getting back into the tone of The Silence of the Lambs and what made the original film so special. Sure, it's not going to be on the same playing field as the original, but it was still a worthy prequel story for me. And I thought that the casting was incredible. Edward Norton was so damn good in the movie. Like Anthony Hopkins, like he pretty much had the similar like screen time that he had in the original Silence of the Lamb, where it didn't have to rely on the focus on his character in particular like they did in Hannibal.
I'm a big believer in separating the art from the artist, and that's why I can praise this movie without knowing that no, Ratner's probably not the greatest dude ever in the world, but let's address the elephant in the room. This is basically an updated remake, for lack of a better word, of Manhunter. However, this does everything that Manhunter was trying to do, but better. There's almost no pretension in this movie whatsoever. It's not like an 80s music video from like Tears for Fears. Like this actually some real suspense. There's some real suspense here. Yeah. Like that Manhunter thrives on vibes alone, which it looks really nice, but is like in like the scares department. This actually like I was sitting there going, wow. Like they actually went there with this. And the crazier thing about it is that I was going to say, I believe this movie is, I was going to say it's PG-13, but it's very much R. That's why I have the DVD case here. I was going to say for PG-13, they did so much. But
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, wait, I don't remember that movie being PG-13. It looked very R-rated.
I don't know what I was thinking there, but
they say the word fucking multiple times, and there's a couple of grotesque things, and I'm just thinking
there's like a couple of graphic scenes.
Yeah.
Also, this movie came out like a year after Hannibal movie. That's crazy.
I was wrong about something. Insert the Game of Thrones clip. Shame.
We're gonna make Ryan strip down naked, and we're gonna walk him through Florida and let Pete meth heads throw beer cans at him and everything.
I mean, it is very hot in Florida right now.
Like, oh my God, there's a python up my ass right now, guys. Come on, man.
Golly, it is hot. But the movie
That's Louisiana, dude. That's Louisiana.
The movie opens with a dinner scene. Where it's heavily implied that Hannibal Lecter is serving his dinner guests a musician. And we start things off with, I thought the scene was really cool where Dr. Graham's over and visiting, and like he very clearly sees Dr. Lecter as an advisor of sorts, and they're like tag teaming this thing. And it's not until like he goes over to the thing, finds the book, sees sweetbreads, and like, oh, like that was such a good reveal. I love. And
then Hannibal just comes up and stabs him right near out of nowhere. I was like, damn, dude.
Stabs him and it's like, your body will soon go into shock. I'm like, this is like the most
I would eat your heart out. And then he just grabs a bunch of fucking few arrows and just stabs Hannibal. I was like, what the fuck did that come from?
This is like more action than all of Manhunter combined, and we're not even 5 minutes in.
Oh, this is way better than anything in Manhunter, way better than anything in Hannibal, this first scene. It just trumps everything, in my opinion.
I loved the opening credits where we see the montage of the trial going on. Lecter gets 9 consecutive life terms, which is just crazy. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. And then you see Dr. Graham in the hospital, and then he's being rolled out. Then he goes into the psych ward, and then he retires. And it communicates so much in like a few minutes. And I loved that. I love the spirit of that.
Oh, and Danny Elfman did the music too. I was like, wait, Danny Elfman was involved? Holy shit.
It Above does feel creepy. The music feels like it matches Silence music.
It did. It did match.
It feels very matchy. It's like, Danny Elfman, look, regardless of how you feel about him as a composer, because sometimes he's a bad music composer, Sometimes he's great. Like I think what he did in the 2017 Justice League, I thought was pretty bad. But like what he did with like Men in Black, Spider-Man, Tim Burton stuff, this like,
Beetlejuice, so Batman.
Good. Yeah, Batman. I mean, like I will say, even I like his score for Terminator Salvation.
Terminator Salvation gets crapped on a lot. It's not.
It's just such an underrated film. Like it's my third.
I beg to differ. Film. It was a boring.
It's not
movie.
even the worst Terminator movie. That belongs.
It was just.
It
was a very mid. It was a very mid-level movie. It was so mid.
It's Matt's just gonna say it's forgettable.
It is. It is forgettable. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not bad. I mean.
It was a potential that kind of felt like it was a waste. A potential that it could have been.
The worst was
unrated cut.
The worst was Genesis. His Dark Fate was basically wearing the franchise like a skin suit Weekend at Bernie's style. There was nothing left that they could have done to like run the franchise.
And dude, Michael Biehn, who played Kyle Reese, would tell you that Terminator Salvation was a boring ass movie he's ever seen. Nearly fell asleep to it.
Guess what? Terminator Salvation was the last successful Terminator film at the box office, and the only reason they never got a sequel is because the company that made it went bankrupt, and they had to sell the rights to it. Hey, I enjoyed that. I mean, I will say though, they should have made it R-rated, and I think
that this is more of your guilty pleasure of that movie.
I liked the movie. I really enjoyed that movie. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, I could watch that movie tonight. I mean, I enjoyed it. I will say it's not the best. Is it better than Terminator 1 or 2? No, I would say it's the third best one. I'd rather watch that than part 3 or part 5 or 6.
But I think this is the point where at least Collins and I are going to disagree. But I really liked Ed Norton as Dr. Graham. I thought that he did a really good job.
I agree. I totally agree. I thought he was phenomenal in the movie. I don't know what you guys were watching. His performance was actually incredible.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a bad performance, but it definitely felt like he could have done better. I don't know how to say it because he's a great actor.
I think not to cut you off or anything. I think it's just because he wasn't really a big star at the time. He was still in his early acting. And I think it was just coming off of like post Fight Club with David Fincher. Yeah. And he was still in a working acting.
This was 2004. Like he's already done like all this.
This was 2002.
Yeah. Like he literally did already that one movie where he plays the serial killer, and he also did American History X, and he also did.
Oh, he did. Oh yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
Like he already did all those big films in the 90s. I mean, like obviously, so yeah, it's not he had power by then. I will say, I think this is also around the time he did like the Italian Job and, what was it? But I will say I did not care for Edward Norton because this is the only reason why. He was not bad in the movie at all. I'm not trying to say he was bad. I'm just saying he did not match the character from the book. And I would say that in Manhunt, William Peterson did a much better job in that movie because you felt like Hannibal Lecter. I mean, not Hannibal Lecter, but Will Graham. He felt like, he suffers from PTSD. You felt like when he's running in that movie, you felt like that. And I will say, I think he's so good in that movie, but I do not like the Edward Norton because he just feels like, some shit happened. Oh, well. And he's just, I like that he's hunting a serial killer, but it doesn't feel like he is traumatized. He just feels like, yeah, shit happened to me, but I'm cool with it. We're okay. And I think that's what I really liked about it.
I feel like William Peterson's Graham was more of a blunt instrument. He's like walking around with a tape recorder, like, where did the dog go? And like, he's literally like thinking it through in his head. And I love it when really smart people are like working stuff out. Like, I can't put my finger on why I love it so much, but I just do. I love the scene where near the end, jumping to the end really quick.
I've never seen a child as disgusting as you.
Jason, like, won't you agree? Like even in the TV show, the Will Graham TV show is based on the book. If you're going by the book standards, like, you know what, Will Graham, like William Peterson is a perfect Will Graham. Even the Will Graham that we're going to get to in the Hannibal series is a great Will Graham. But like this one just plays it like Edward Norton plays like he's playing Edward. He's like, oh, I'm a cop. Like if you would have told me this is Jack Crawford, I would believe you because it feels like he's just trying to be Clarice Starling, a male version of Clarice Starling. Which these are two radically different characters in the books. Clarice is someone who is, traumatized, but she can like maintain her own self where she's not like, like having PTSD and all that stuff. All she's doing, and she's just trying to overcome, her being a female and want to prove herself. That Will Graham is traumatized because he has like so many demons in his closet. He's worried that one day he might become a serial killer because these killers live in his mind, and he could see himself killing this family. He could see like he's basically him and Hannibal Lecter are almost the same coin in a way, because he literally can feel, he understands what it feels, the blood rush going through his mouth. He can understand what it feels like. And I feel like this version of Will Graham does not get that. He feels like just like, oh, I'm not a serial killer. Hell, once I leave, shit, that ain't nothing to me. What versus like, you know, Will Graham is supposed to be like there's a scene in Manhunt where he tells his kid, I would have had to go to a mental hospital because I had these thoughts in my head about, you know, and I'm like, that right there is Will Graham. But this one, I'm like, I wouldn't believe he had these thoughts. He's like, yeah, I was in a coma and shit happens, but like, what are you gonna do, right? You know, that's my issue with his.
I can see your point, but I feel like Norton was a little more subtle with it, and I think I may have just preferred that a little more. But I thought Norton was really good. I think we all can agree with that period at the end of the sentence.
He's a good actor.
Oh, of course. But I wanted to point out that I felt like Lecter was in this movie a little bit more. And I read somewhere that was like very tacked on, like because Anthony Hopkins as Dr. Lecter was
only in the book.
Popular.
He's only in the book for like less than like a couple of pages, and then that's it. Like what you saw in Manhunt is his performance. That's all his page. That's all his performance. Like what you saw in the book Manhunt and the movie Manhunt, all the Lecter scenes in Manhunt are all his scenes in the book. But the only thing is, because, you know, Anthony Hopkins and Silence of the Lambs was huge, and because it's the same people, by the way, that made Manhunt, made this movie. The same producers, ones that gave the rights away to the Silence of the Lambs, are the same people that made Hannibal and this. And they're like, oh, we're going to try again, but this time we're going to do it with Anthony Hopkins, and we're going to get, you know, a big name director on it, and we're going to get, you know, like, which I will say, it works. I mean, this literally redeems Manhunt in a way, because Manhunt was an awful movie. But Red Dragon is actually a good movie. You have a good Francis Dollarhide. You have Hannibal Lecter. And I like how they give him, like, there's one scene with Hannibal Lecter that's not in the book, but it's so funny because after he tells, you know, they find out, like, they read the thing where it says, Hannibal Lecter gave him their address. He says, kill them all and everything. And after Will gets his kids out safe, family out safe and everything. And then, like, basically, like, Chilton is just taking all Hannibal's stuff. They're like, take this, take his books, take his drawings. And then he goes, and then Hannibal just
seems very petty.
And then, he basically says, there's a there is a letter that they sent me accidentally where it says about the rejection letter. And then he reads this and he gets angry. You can tell he's just like, take his toilet too.
Take his toilet.
Just take his toilet seat.
Yeah, toilet seat.
Like,
Yeah.
Lecter had this attitude of, what are you going to do? Throw me in jail? I'm already in jail. Like, this is my permanent address.
I mean, what are you going to do? Throw me in jail again?
Like, fucking with you is all I have, Chilton. Like, come on.
First,
he don't care. He don't care.
Chilton does himself no favors. He is a wang in this movie. I did not care for him in the slightest.
Shit in this. I do like that they make it like, okay, you understand the relationship. They hate each other, and he treats Hannibal like shit in this book.
Lecter is a monster. Let's not get that twisted. But Chilton is heavily implied
that he is
like,
he ain't no angel.
Lecter is like an asshole, and like Chilton is like a dick. Take with that whatever you want.
You're trying to make the Team America. You know, you're making basically, you're almost there about making the Team America saying where he says, we're a bunch of pussies and we need to be assholes. You know, instead we need to be dicks and the pussies in the assholes. And then you're just like, if you've seen the Team America, like they make this whole euphemism.
That's what I was trying to go for, but you did what I was trying to go for me.
But what I do like that they give you that. The only thing is I thought was so bad, the wig on Chilton. Like he has that long ass hair style, like a mullet kind of haircut.
It looked terrible.
Because they're trying to match the 90s. They're literally trying to match this is silent. This is like a couple of days before Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 weeks
literally.
Like this is 1991, folks. And I'm not saying that like he needed to be wearing like a Hulkamania t-shirt or something to be like, it's the early 90s, y'all. But it's like the hair was dumb.
They should have just done their homework to what they looked in the 90s or watch the movie.
You know, Chilton also, I like that he got punished for doing that, like where they read. But I'm like, how he knows by then now he knows what he's getting punished for, because he's like, yeah, I know, y'all read my letters, my secret letters to the Red Dragon, and so basically I know that I know that I was literally being in cahoots with the Red Dragon the whole time, so you're punishing me for it. So like, I do kind of like that they punished him for it. We're like, all right, take his books, take all this stuff. I just like that aspect of it. There's who's taking all this shit. I'm like, which he never asked him back for his stuff back either. He's just like, instead of, he's like, I just like a gourmet meal and some music. I'm like, yeah. I would say I want all my shit back, like.
And he eventually gets all of his stuff back, like, lest we forget.
I mean, also I do like that, how he literally, like how they tell him, Hannibal, get against the door. He says, if you try to, like, we're putting the phone in, and if you turn around, we will shoot you and kill you. Like, and he just gets in there and he says, you understand? He goes, yes, I do. Like, I'm just like, I like that they're like how he feels enforceful, and how, like, when he's talking to Ed Norton, he's walking around like in handcuffs and like that giant thing, where it says stay. I mean, and there's also a cool, creepy scene where the chef's making him a meal and he's at the glass and he goes,
yeah, that was so cool too. I did not remember that, and so when the drawer goes and he's like, I'm like, no, thank God he's behind the glass.
He's a cannibal, but he's like so polite in some ways. He's so sophisticated. I guess that's what I love about the character is he's the most sophisticated serial killer like I've ever seen, and it makes him so much interesting.
Even when also, he was like running free, like you see his house, like the dude took care of himself. He had art, he had like
he loves art.
He was
music,
like a man of status.
I mean, if you think about, like, remember especially in Hannibal, the movie Hannibal, when he's like literally cooking like the guy's brains, and remember, and then like, the guy's insulting Clarice and he's saying calling her trash and everything's praying and he's fake praying and he calls her trash, and then Hannibal just turns like, did you really just say that? Like, looking at him like, that was very rude.
He doesn't like rudeness. Yeah.
Like, yeah, he hates rudeness. Like, I just thought that was. I always remember that. Like, he's like, did you really? Was that necessary? Like, he just looks at that guy, Ray Liotta, going, was that really necessary? Like, I'm just like, I always thought that was the funniest thing ever. I also thought like Hannibal, especially like at the beginning of the movie, when he's watching the play. When he's watching the quartet, when he's watching the guy, like he's just messing up a note, he keeps messing up a note, and he just gets angry, and like, and all of a sudden he's like, and then you see like he implies he ate the guy, and I'm just like, he's just like you're messing up my room.
If I told you, you wouldn't eat it.
Wait, they gave him, isn't it weird? They gave him a man bun in this movie. Like Anthony Hopkins has a man.
Yeah, that was like, what the hell?
He's got a ponytail.
He's got a ponytail.
Right.
He looked like a fucking douchebag, generic fucking henchman from the 90s that you can. That has a fucking like ball and like.
I guess even serial killers
like a fucking men bun.
Disease.
Like crisis.
Well, I mean, they're trying to match Hannibal, because in the flashback you see him with a man. I think they're trying to match that. But I'm like, the only thing is, Anthony Hopkins looks younger in this movie than he does in what's it called, in Hannibal, which I understand that's on purpose. That was on purpose because like Hannibal, they're supposed to age him up, like make him look older, because this is like years later. But the thing is, like I will say, like he even looks like he has a gut in Hannibal, but in this movie he looks like you could tell that they tried to like make this a prequel. Like they're not trying, even though you could tell like, okay, this man's clearly not the same age as he was in Silence,
Yeah.
And
that was my only negative, that the age for Anthony Hopkins in the movie, because this is supposed to be a prequel a decade prior to the events of Hannibal. I don't know. I didn't really buy into the age. I still loved his performance, but the age thing kind of turned me off a little bit, because he looked because he was way too old to play the younger Hannibal.
The performance. Would you rather them recast that role?
Yeah, I do.
You are sad. You are a sad, pathetic bastard. Okay,
but I still went along with it. I still think he was still sold the role.
It literally, I thought honestly, they probably would never have made it if Anthony Hopkins had said no, because he's Hannibal Lecter. I mean, this is literally his trilogy. You have Red Dragon, Silence, and then you have Hannibal. Which is it's great that he got a trilogy. They have a trilogy out of Anthony Hopkins because this next movie, this is his last movie.
He wouldn't do it again.
They never made another movie. They made another Hannibal movie, but they never made a which they used his face to market that movie too. And he was not in a he's not in a single frame of that movie, and they used his face to market it. Like they had I remember watching a DVD cover where it had Anthony Hopkins' face like this, and then it goes to the young guy's face, and I'm like, he's not in this movie at all. He's not in one single frame of this movie.
I'm sure he must have been real thrilled about that. But
I'm sure his lawyer would probably send a cease and desist saying, unless you pay me for that cover, do not put my face on a cover. Well, unless it's for Blu-ray of Red Dragon, or if it's one of those three movies, Silence, Red Dragon. Like, you can't just take somebody's face and mark it. I mean, Michael Benn will let you know that when Alien 3 came out, they tried to use his face, and then he found out about it, and he sued the studio Fox saying, you do not own that, my likeness. You need my permission.
I don't want to go too deep into this review without getting into Francis Dollarhide, played by Ralph Fiennes, because I thought he was just great. I mean, it's Ralph Fiennes, so of course. It's like
Voldemort.
Yeah, Voldemort. He was Goth in Schindler's List. He was just the performance was really good.
Made in Manhattan. I mean, just like all kind of villains, you know.
Yeah, right.
Made in Manhattan, but
romancing J-Lo.
Ralph Fiennes was just so good in this.
That's what Jason just said. Jason just laughing. I'm like, oh. But yeah, well, you know what? Somewhere Ben Affleck's watching that going, fucking Ralph Fiennes. It's like, which, by the way, he is a good actor. And Ryan texted me and said, Ryan, it's basically when he signs on for a project, he's playing the villain automatically, because there's rarely a movie you see him in that he plays the hero in. Like, I think there's three roles: the Lego Batman and the Kingsman. That's the only movie.
The Grand Budapest Hotel. He's so good in.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's just casted him, and 28 years later, and I'm like 100% sure he's the villain. I am like 100% sure he's the villain. I'm like, wasn't he already in him 28 days later? I'm like, no, that was Christopher Eccleston.
That was Christopher Eccleston.
I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, he hasn't been in one of those movies. I'm like, well, I mean, I said he's going to be a great villain.
I have one question though. In the movie, they describe him as having a bodybuilder type physique. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like Ralph Fiennes has a bodybuilder type physique. Am I missing something there? Were they meant to? Were they meant to cast somebody bigger and then they went with Ralph Fiennes, or?
I feel like Dr. Graham was like being general. I think he was exercising on a hunch, because I see what you're saying, but I feel like he was just like trying.
That's the Tooth Fairy, because he comes from a military background. Like he went like Jordan. That's how he was like one of those sniper guys, and that's how he's able to kill people so discreetly, because he was basically has a military background. For instance, Dollarhide. So when he got out of the military, he snapped even further and went into, and basically that's why you see him working out and everything, because he would I guess he would. I think it's implied in the book he's dishonorably discharged because he felt a psychiatric, after when he got back and everything, and so they kicked him out, and he kind of snapped and went and started killing families.
So maybe think he wasn't like a first choice or something, and then I mean he's a great actor, so I mean why wouldn't he be? But I'm like, were they trying to go for a bigger person?
See him in his military. When you see him at the end of the movie, that's actually his like military outfit that he was in the service with, and that's why.
Like I was thinking, like I'd like to see like Dave Bautista in this role. Like he'd be real scary, I think.
That would be a good choice. I mean, we know Bautista can act. I mean, Denis Villeneuve.
Why does everybody keep saying that shit? It really bothers me. It's like he's not a good actor, okay?
Yeah, but like, in a big movie, and also he wasn't even an actor back then when this movie came out.
Can act circles around him. Okay?
Well, no.
He's just surrounded by a bunch of talented people. But even Dave Bautista would tell you that he's not a great actor. He would even tell you that himself.
Y'all are full of shit. Batista's good.
He's not the greatest actor in the world. He's just been surrounded by great, talented people.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like you can literally put a pile of shit in between two gold bars. It's still a pile of shit, but that makes the shit more valuable. That's all I'm saying.
I disagree, but
y'all are like.
I don't think he's a bad actor. I don't think he is, but I don't think he's gonna win any Oscars. Okay?
No,
he's not.
Knock at the Cabin, I thought was an Oscar-worthy performance.
Ryan's friend,
I'll say that right now.
We did the Mommy review. It was like, oh, Dave Bautista, and I'm like, you're fucking, are you on crack? Like Dave Bautista's not even. He said Dave Bautista's better than The Rock, and I'm like, look, I will argue all day. No, The Rock is better. Okay, first off, Dave Bautista, yeah, just because he was in an Oscar movie doesn't make him good. Okay, like hell, true. Eric Roberts was in The Dark Knight, which was an Oscar movie. That doesn't make Eric Roberts an Oscar-winning actor. Eric Roberts was in Human Centipede 3. Okay, like so seriously. So before we put our fucking brakes on everybody, that's a good actor.
All right,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm lost on this whole conversation.
You could be in a good movie. That doesn't make you a good actor. Doesn't mean you're going to go on to have better success. No. Okay, like Eric Roberts.
Good performance makes you a good actor.
You're having a laugh. You are having such a laugh because Bautista is good.
Dave Bautista's okay. Like he's not. If you are going to cast a real actor for a real role, you're not going to cast him. You're more likely going to cast him as either the comedic relief. Like, let's go watch I Spy, okay, or whatever. My Spy or whatever.
Yeah, remember that movie, My Spy?
My Spy, that shitty My Spy movie.
Yeah. Well, The Rock was in The Game Plan, genius.
But I never even said he was.
Game Plan actually made money and was well received.
But also, I never said that Dwayne Johnson's a better actor than Dave Bautista. I'm saying that when you watch Dwayne Johnson in every movie, he's playing the same person. You see him as Dwayne Johnson. When you
what?
Checkmate.
You know what? He fired his agent after that movie. Dave Bautista was also in The Scorpion King 3 and was also in Escape Plan 3 and was also
straight to streaming.
And so does Stallone. Well, yeah, but so does Stallone. Yeah, but so does Stallone. Stallone's been in a lot of stinkers too. Let's not forget that.
Sure.
Even Stallone, even Ryan Reynolds. He's been in a lot of great actors have been in stinker roles too.
I mean, look, to be fair, Ryan Reynolds still makes fun of like Green Lantern. And I'm like, Green Lantern.
He makes fun of it. That's the beauty thing about him. He makes fun of his movies that he was in.
He says Green Lantern's his worst movie. I'm like, dude, I could tell you 3 movies of yours that are way worse than Green Lantern any day. One is the movie about you're a serial killer that has a talking dog that you kill people accidentally and put them in your head. Their heads in your refrigerator. What? Yeah, he did a movie after Green Lantern called Voices, where he plays a serial killer that accidentally kills women, and he puts their heads in the refrigerator, and they're talking to him, and he has a talking dog that is also, I think, voiced by Anna Faris or whatever, or and like Anna Kendrick's in this movie, and so is what's her name, the girl from Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter and Clash of the Titans. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is the movie. I got to send you the trailer, man. It is a weird, dark comedy, and I'm like, Ryan Reynolds says that is this worst movie, Green Lantern. I'm like, Ryan Reynolds, have you seen Voices? You were in that movie, dude.
And also, here's another example. Michael Fassbender, one of the best talented actors working in Hollywood, but he's been in a lot of terrible, fucking atrocious movie. I was like, what are you doing? Fire your fucking agent for crying out loud.
Assassin's Creed. I mean, I'm saying, like, Ralph Fiennes, by the way, he's a great actor, but going to Ralph Fiennes, Edward Norton and Ralph Fiennes are great actors. Ralph Fiennes has done some bad movies in his career. I mean, obviously, look at Maid of Manhattan. I mean, but I'm just saying, you got that. And I mean, look, Ralph Fiennes is also, I'm sure, has done other things. I mean, but he also did great movies like The Menu, and he's again a villain. But then of course,
let's just be honest. One of the actors like Ray Fiennes is typecast because they pull off a better villain than playing the protagonist.
I mean, let's just say that nobody liked him in The Kingsman. Everybody liked him better as the villain in like Harry Potter and The Menu. Like more people like The Menu than The King's Man.
Because The Menu's awesome.
Yeah, it's a better movie.
I just read that they're doing a sequel to The King's Men.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
With Hitler as the villain.
With Hitler, yeah.
That's what they were building up to at the end of The King's Men.
Yeah.
Which also I really enjoy though Edward Norton. I will say this movie I just didn't like him in. Harvey Keitel. I enjoy Harvey Keitel. Like he's great in this role as Jack Crawford. Even though you could tell this is supposed to be a prequel to Silence of the Lambs, he looks nothing like Scott Glenn.
No.
Like they got everybody back, but like Scott Glenn, what was
Yeah,
he doing
yeah.
in
What was he
2002?
doing?
They just couldn't get him. Were they just like, well, we don't want Scott Glenn?
Yeah,
Funny
my
if
dude, I
it'd be
guess.
like it'd be like a Red Dragon, nah. Elektra, yes. And I know he wasn't in that movie. I'm just being pedantic.
You're
Or no,
talking about like
wait.
the Netflix.
He was in Daredevil, right? Or something.
The
Here's a
season
better
one.
here's a better one. Red Dragon
No, Sucker
nah,
Punch.
does dang it, you took my joke away from me.
I'll tell you what, I'll rephrase it. Red Dragon, nah. Sucker Punch, yeah. Zack
There it
Snyder,
is.
the man who made 300 and Watchmen, on
How
Dawn of
could
the
he
Dead.
miss?
Ooh, this
Scott
is
Glenn,
crazy.
Scott Glenn's literal first line in the movie: shoes. Take off your shoes. You're dragging in snow. Profound. But let's get back to it.
By the way,
Um,
before we go back on topic, can you believe that we're getting a 300 prequel with Zack Snyder directing?
What story could they possibly tell?
What? Yeah. What? Yeah.
You know, Greek mythology, or not Greek mythology, it's actually history. History. I'm sorry, I get sometimes.
Well,
You know,
no,
history-
actually, it was based on the graphic novel by Frank Miller that
Frank
they
Miller.
did the adaptation for that
So
story.
that's based on a true story as well, with like between the war.
It's
of the
it's a sort of a true
Roughly.
story, but it's more of a
Roughly.
fictionalized reimagining tale.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has been
Battle
told.
of
That was
Thermopylae
reimagining
did,
version.
in
But, yeah, but
fact,
in Spartan history, like before the Persia War, there was the war with the Athens, and if you watch the prequel, they already did a fucking prequel, by the way, and a sequel called 300: Rise of an Empire. If you watch
Yeah.
that, they actually were at war with the Athens, and then they came together to destroy the Persia because the Persians, the Spartan Athens, were at war with each other. But then they settled their conflict, and then Persia came into the conflict, and then they teamed up and destroyed Persia. So I imagine that the movie would be about the war with the Athens because that was the only story they haven't told. I mean, you can't really do Persia again because 300 begins with the war beginning with Persia. So, I mean, they have nowhere to go. But yeah, I just thought that's great that Zack Snyder's coming back to Warner Brothers. You know, that he's actually getting to do what he actually is good at, making 300.
And also, they wanted the WB wanted to get back on the good terms with Zack Snyder, especially
I mean,
with
this
the
was a
merger
different
of
studio,
AT&T.
too.
It's different. Yeah, it's different. I agree with you because
Yeah,
they
it
wanted
wasn't
to
even
get back on the
AT&T
good
that
terms.
fired him. It was AOL, the company that AT&T in 2018 bought AOL, you know, Warner Brothers. And then they got bought out by Discovery. So it's like three different studios. Like, hey, that was
Yeah.
3 different studios ago.
That's true. Yeah.
But Harvey Keitel's a pretty safe bet in terms of the acting department. One thing that Manhunter does much better, in my opinion, and I think Red Dragon's a way better movie than Manhunter, but I think Manhunter got Dr. Graham's wife and son right, and I feel like with Red Dragon, they were very forgettable. Like, Mary Louise Parker's a good actress, but
I
I
like
struggle.
her. Yeah.
I think she was in like 5 scenes in the movie. I could be
Mhm.
could be overestimating that. And his son didn't even have like 2 or 3. And then
Barely
you have
had any
Manhunter.
lines.
Yeah, they
Then you have
weren't
Manhunter, where they have that great scene in the grocery store, which is my favorite scene in the whole movie. To be
right.
honest.
Yeah.
So, like, good get Mary Louise Parker, but at the same time, I'm like, why is she even here though?
Right. For the last scene, maybe.
It was like they were trying to make cuts, and this was the only cut they could make. They're like, let's make the wife and kid be less relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I always say I do like that they made her this. He teaches her how to shoot, so that could be
That
used
was
at the
good.
end.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a plant and payoff, especially at the
Yeah.
ending.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
I do
ending was
like-
very much of a payoff. The moment
I
the wife
love-
shoots hit him in that brain, I was like, damn. This
That's actually accurate. The book actually they do that accurate to the book too. That's accurate when he goes at the end, it fakes his suicide and goes after Will Graham's family at their home. Which I will say, I think it's funny. I still laugh at like you know how like he's holding this knife and then he pisses his pants and he goes, "You want me to cut it off, huh? You want me to cut it off?" That guy is Natalie.
Yeah, that's
you
just
know?
his way to fuck with
Yeah.
his head because the
Well,
way
he-
the way his grandmother
Yeah.
treated him as a young child after he read his like book.
Yeah.
And he
He read his book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he used it. He used that shit against
Used
him.
it.
His
Yeah.
traumatic experience.
You know, Grandma Dollarhide sounds brutal. Like she makes Carrie's mom from Carrie sound lucid by comparison.
It's like yeah,
You know,
very
I was
similar.
thinking- when I was watching this, you know what I was thinking of? Remember Split? Like you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
James McAvoy's mom in Split, where she goes, "Kevin Wendell Crumb." You know, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that
that
reminded me of
reminded
that."
of the yeah. But I wanted to go back to that workout scene when he was benching. There's a mirror in the reflection, and I don't see any dude lifting it up. It just looked like it's doing out of thin air. It's like, is that a fucking ghost or something? Did I miss something?
No,
I don't know if it's just me. Am I crazy?
Really?
Like, I don't know. And then you turn around and pan around and you see him. I was like, is that a ghost? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Which there was actually some funny outtakes. Like, have you watched the bloopers on this movie? Like, you know, like, it is so funny. Like, there's one that made me laugh where Ralph Fiennes was joking with the woman that's Emily Mortimer, where Emily
Watson.
Emily Watson, who basically plays, you know, the blind woman. I forget her name.
Yeah, it was the blind woman.
And she basically, like, he like in the out to get, come on, we have to go. Michael Jackson is in the other room. Like,
he said that in the blooper reel.
Yeah. He's like, we have to go. Michael Jackson is in the other, and they're all like laughing because and just like Ralph Fiennes just messing with her, and she just like broke character laughing. It's just like just broke character.
Yeah, Emily Watson. She's playing Reba McClane. That's her character's name, Reba.
Yeah, which she's great in this movie.
Oh, she's
and
fantastic.
Also, did y'all see the scene when she grabbed the damn tiger's balls? Like in
I know. I was like, what the hell? Wait, I was like, wait, what? Why is she grabbing the tiger's balls?
Yeah.
I thought she was
That's
grabbing
the book. That is in the book.
It was like, okay, that was in the book. It's like, okay, like this still.
Thomas Harris
didn't it feel a little random to me? It felt a little random.
Just because she,
man, get the fuck out of here! Get the fuck out!
I feel like like, is this a scene from fucking Dr. Dolittle when you're treating the tiger? Like, what the hell is going on in this? This feels like it doesn't follow any part of the story. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
just because she's blind doesn't mean she doesn't have urges.
I mean that's the whole point.
Oh no, we see that. Yeah,
she's like a horny blind person.
But this was a little interesting that this killer is now like connecting with the blind woman that really shows the humanity side of him. It's like he has like kind of like a little bit more of a duplicate personality with the way he was looking at the painting, that dragon that really completely screw with his head.
He put a gun in his mouth.
Yeah, he was literally putting the gun to his mouth.
That was cool. Yeah.
And he really loved Reba, and that really showed the humanity in him, that really accepted him. And oh my god, it was like, that kind of almost reminded me of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, where he had the darker half of him, when he was talking to himself.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt. Well, just a comment that someone just like dots on.
It's a weird comment, but
apparently maybe they were blind, and that's what they were trying to say something in Braille.
They probably typed something. Their eyes closed.
That alone, okay. But
okay, man. I thought my joke was bad. Matt took my joke and was like, "Watch this. I'm going to be straight up." I thought I was bad. And then Matt was like, "Push me out the way to be a dick." And goes,
"I'm like, dude, hold my beer."
It's like Kanye at that award show. I'm gonna let you finish, bud.
Which, by the way, I think she's a good character in the movie. Like, I like the build up it does in this movie, because like when he meets her in like a Manhunt, it's like the same. It all happens in one day, versus this is spread out in a couple of days. Like oh, they literally meet and then they go and have sex, and then he shows her the tiger all in 1 hour, in a couple of hours in Manhunt. But versus this movie where it's like a couple of dates, you know, and I like that it builds up to them having sex. Versus like, she met you just an hour ago in Manhunt. It's like, she met you an hour ago and you took her to see
if it was like a couple of hours, it wouldn't have been as believable. That's why they had to like change that up and make it like they been together for like a couple of days. That would have made more sense.
I mean, it made sense, because I'm like, especially like I was watching Manhunt, and I'm like, well, he says, "Hey, you want to show you something?" I'm like, "Fuck no! He's gonna rape you. It's gonna take you to his house and rape you." If any woman logically would say, if a man says, "Hey, can I take you somewhere and show you something?" Especially even if you're blind, you say, "Fuck no! I don't know.
Yeah,
I met you like 10 minutes ago." You know, it's like, yeah, because like, okay, he's gonna rape me and kill me and throw me in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he is a serial killer. He's a real serial killer, but he only goes after families for some reason. Which, by the way, it kind of Will's conclusion in this movie kind of was like, I liked his conclusion better in Manhunt than this one, because this one I just feel like was more of like, oh, he randomly got it right, compared to Manhunt was like he had to do actual detective work to get the answer right.
Yeah, but before we, and we're not closing things out yet, but I did want to touch on this before we go. What did you all think of Philip Seymour Hoffman as?
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
god! I almost forgot he was in this movie. Like, until
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't even know he was in this movie. He's like, wait, he's in this film, and he's playing a reporter.
Yeah.
That scene.
He has less scenes than
that scene
Hannibal
when he was sticked into a chair when he was
Yeah,
captured
stuck
by Ray Fiennes' character. Oh,
That's a real practical stunt too. Like they actually set a stunt guy on fire and put him in a wheelchair and throw him down the sluice.
I could tell. I could see the dude's hands move. Like, oh god, oh man, oh god, oh man.
Yeah, the guy looked like he was on fire. I was like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
They set a dummy on fire in the last one. This one, they're like,
I thought it was a dummy at first. I didn't know it was actually a real stunt double. That
yeah, they said a stunt guy. It's a behind the scenes. They literally had like they set him down the street. They said they told us one guy. He said, "Who wants to do it?" This guy, "I'll do it." And they put him and covered him like this lube, whatever, and put him in a suit, and then they set him down the thing.
So they cover him up with a bunch of lube as a protection. Like, oh my! Yeah. I don't know if I would ever be brave enough to do
even
that.
then.
I don't think they would ever do that to Dave. They would definitely.
They even had on cables. They put him on cables.
They would
to make sure he didn't flip over. They had to have cables.
They would either
CGI.
If they were to do practical, they would definitely use a dummy. Like as
I don't know if the TV show, when the TV show does it, if they were like set that they did it practical, or if they. I know they do it, but I don't know if they do it practical or CGI. I would imagine it's CGI, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did do it practically because I mean, Brian
or they could just use a dummy or something.
I'll let you know when we get to it, though. I mean, we're not until season 3, but like they do that scene. Like it was.
You know, at Disney's Hollywood Studios, they had this ride. It's no longer there. Not a ride, but like a show called the Lights, Motors, Action Epic Stunt Spectacular. It was my favorite thing in all of Hollywood Studios. I saw it a ton of times, but there's a stunt where like it's a car, like they show off how car chases work. And like one of them involves like a guy on a motorcycle going through a wall of flames and being set on fire. And you actually see a dude in like a suit with like fire retardant, like paint and all of that go through the flames, and actually him running around and he's on fire. I'm like, this man's on fire. And I'm like, I was like 9 or 10, so I didn't know any better. But then
I would piss on him. I would react. Get the fire out.
And also, I would react the same way if I was around your age. I would have been like, he's on fire. What the fuck?
And then all of a sudden, the air quotes director was like, all right, cut. And now come the extinguishers and and as you can see, we do this under supervision. Here's our stuntman, Steve, everybody. And he takes off the helmet and he waves and it's all great. Like, oh, I missed that show so much. It was so.
Have you seen the Waterworld at Universal?
No, I haven't.
Waterworld. If you haven't seen it, it's fan. I went last year to the one in Hollywood, and Waterworld is so good. The only thing is, they have seats where like color coded, and they tell you, oh, if you want to get wet, then we're gonna put you right here. And if you not only will you get wet because the water will, they'll even throw water buckets on you just for you sitting in that area, and then they'll tell people, hey, look, okay, people right here, there's no water, but like there's a chance you might get wet, so I would sit right here if you don't want any water. So we sat in the area with no water, and we were just seeing they were like getting on jet skis, and there was like water out, explosions, a giant plane comes down and crashes into the water, a giant fireballs and explosions, and I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. And then they have like people, and then you see a guy in a jet ski and just like water shooting everywhere, and I'm like, it is the most epic experience at Universal. I was like, my favorite thing. You have to go down there one day when you go to Universal. Definitely watch Waterworld. It's like a 10-minute show, but it's really worth it.
They still have it there? I don't know if they still have it there.
The one in Hollywood does. I don't know about the one in California. The one in Orlando. The one in Hollywood definitely.
Because I know they don't have it in Orlando, but maybe they might have it in California.
Hollywood
Studios. I hope Hollywood Studios never gets rid of the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. That's another one of my favorites. It just never ceases to amaze me, some of those things.
I mean, for Universal, they took a lot of the special stuff that I loved going to. Like, for instance, the T2 3D, A Battle Across Time, that thing's gone. That was an incredible experience. I don't know if any of you had that chance to experience it.
I never experienced it.
Oh, and you could definitely look it up on YouTube and watch that. And they got rid of the Twisters. They got rid of Back to the Future ride. I remember going to that. That was like, my childhood. and
They
most of the
took
stuff
our
got replaced.
childhood and replaced it with the crappy Fast and Furious 3D ride.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
also
Don't
replaced
even
it
get
with,
me
like,
started on that.
Mario
But,
World, Transformers, the ride, Shrek, the
The
Transformers
Simpsons.
ride.
The Simpsons was the replacement of Back to the Future ride. The Simpsons ride. The
You know
crust-
what's sad? They're getting rid of the Simpsons ride because like Disney revoked their license now, and so I'm like, what?
In the words of Krusty the Clown, what the hell was that? Like,
What the hell was that? What?
If you know,
Krusty the Clown.
if they were smart, if Universal was smart, I would strike a deal with Warner Brothers and say, give us give us Superman or Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, give us something.
The only the best of the park with at Universal is the Wizarding World, with both parks of Allen Adventure and Universal Studios. That's the only thing that's really keeping that shit alive because it's one of the best experience I've ever went to.
I didn't get a chance to ride the Harry Potter ride because I had motion sickness from Despicable Me the ride.
Oh God, I've been on that before.
Because I went. To be fair, I did the Star Wars ride at Disney World the day before, and the roller coaster that it's like, what was it called? The Space Mountain, but they made it into a Star Wars ride now. And you see, like, it's a fun experience, but I get motion sickness really easy. So I did that ride, and I was dizzy for like the next couple of days.
Man. I remember going on Space Mountain. I remember going on that many times.
Space Mountain. If you have motion sickness, Space Mountain will take everything out of you. I am glad I did last. But like, I could not ride anything at Universal after I did the Despicable Me ride because I was literally just like, anything that was with a ride I couldn't do afterwards. And so I basically just walked around and just watched everybody else do rides because I'm like, I can't. So they took it all out of me. But yeah, that's my experience at Universal last year.
The next spin-off show, amusement park talk, where we just talk about all of.
Oh, you guys know amusement parks more than me.
Well, we could do that. That could be the next.
We all got experiences.
I've been to Silver Dollar City. I can talk about that.
Oh well, that's good. But to put the period at the end of the sentence for Red Dragon and close it off, I think we all can agree we all really liked it. Let's go to ratings. Jason, 1 to 10, what do you give it?
Oh yeah, I'm giving it a 9, just like Silence of the Lambs. I think it's just below Silence of the Lambs, but it's on that same level as it was a fun thriller.
This movie was written by the same guy who wrote Silence of the Lambs, Ted Talley.
Okay.
Ted
I mean,
he didn't write Hannibal. It was a piece of shit. The book was a piece of shit, so he didn't write Hannibal. But he came back to write Red Dragon because he really liked Red Dragon, the book, and wanted to which makes sense.
Monsieur Dollar Hyde, 1 to 10.
I'm gonna give it a 2 because it's a piece of shit movie. Not joking. I want to give it a 9 as well. It's so good. It's really good. I cannot. I will say, if you ever just want the perfect 2 Hannibal Lecter movies with Anthony Hopkins, watch Red Dragon and then watch Silence of the Lambs. It's a perfect movie.
It would be a perfect. It's a better double feature. I mean, you don't need to watch like Hannibal.
You don't want. It's like it's like watching.
You can skip that over.
Mad Max, and then you watch the Fury.
It's kind of like the Hannibal is like more of a fan fiction sequel. Like, what could this could have done, and it just did not. Felt very inconsistent.
The way Red Dragon leaves it off, where Anthony Hopkins is going, "What is her name?"
What's
and
her
then
name?
you just like cut to black, and then start
Silence
of the Lambs.
Yeah, that was such a great way to end it off. That was a great way to end off with Will Graham, and then leading into Silence of the Lamb and how they were able to connect this.
Speaking
then
of
we got
Dr.
Hannibal,
Graham,
Red Dragon, and Hannibal Rising.
Dr. Graham, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going to give this thing an 8.5. It's a really damn good, worthy installment of the Hannibal franchise. I thought that was a damn good prequel. What? I'm sorry, what?
Like this movie, you gave it an 8.5. Everybody else gave it a 9. You're like, well, it's not that good. Like, fine.
It's right below 9.
It's a great rating, you ass.
It's okay. It's basically it's okay. It's not as good.
I'm sorry. It's a lower rating.
It's not as good, guys. Come on. Like, come
Read
on.
the room, Matt.
Mad Mikkelsen's a better Hannibal Lecter than Anthony Hopkins over here. Like, y'all are smoking crack for giving Red Dragon a 9.
Matt Wyatt equals cheap bastard, but I'm going. I'm going a full 10. I loved this movie.
Nice.
Damn, a masterpiece! Wow.
I did not.
He
watch
loved the
movie
fake prosthetic makeup on Anthony Hopkins. He's like, oh, I can look past that wig, the man bun.
I mean, it was really enjoyable, and I was trying to edit something while watching it, and I just like, all right, pause, I'll do this tomorrow, and like I just finished watching it. Movie's good when I throw something in the background, and I just be like, pause, save progress, I'm watching this now. That was Red Dragon for me.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on the scene where Francis faked his death. That almost caught me off guard. There was a moment like, this cannot be it. There's no way he shot himself in the face.
In the book, that's what leaves you. Like the book, you're like, there's no way he killed himself. And then you find out, oh no, he has military background experience. Like he kidnapped the dude, the photo dude, the one that was hitting on him. Yeah. He kidnapped him and killed him.
Yeah, and then just used him to fake his own death. But then the third act kind of went a little bit weird that he goes after Will Graham's family, which was kind of odd. Like, I don't know.
You want to hear something crazier? The Hannibal season 3, it doesn't end like the book. They go in a complete opposite direction in Hannibal season 3 with the Red Dragon storyline at the end. They don't do the whole he's going after Will's family angle. They do not do that. And I'm like, it gets interesting what they do in season 3.
Yeah, I almost forgot. I almost forgot that Will Graham is the same character from the Hannibal show because I watched the first half of season 1, and I'm excited to get back into that show because I think the show is incredible, and I want to continue after season 1. But yeah, I will say that Will Graham, comparing to him and Ed Norton, I will agree that the actor who played him in the show did a better job. Because it definitely added the psychological of the character of what is going on in his mind when he's analyzing the crime scenes and the way he's studying them and the way he's understanding the psychopaths. And I love that whole thing.
So basically you're saying the 8.5, the 5 is Edward Norton, right? That's what you're saying.
No, I think he did a great job, but I do agree that they could have done better with his character. I totally agree with you on that one.
Because Edward Norton sucks in this movie. Okay, I got you.
8.5. My favorite moment is when he sees the cracked mirror. To me, that was the best scene in the movie. So I was like, oh my gosh. When I saw that cracked mirror, that really, the way they set that up, I thought was brilliant.
There were these little intangibles that sent it over the top for me.
I like when he's shooting, when especially tells get down, and they start shooting, and they're both getting shot too. They're both getting shot. And it's like, pow, pow,
they're both getting shot at the same time through the door.
It just reminds me of Reservoir Dogs, or there's basically pow, 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 pow.
But I pass it off to all of you watching. What did you think of Red Dragon? Let us know in the comments. Love to read what you have to say.
No, it's not the Bruce Lee movie.
And whether you're watching live or the edited version, we would love to know. But it's a privilege to do this with these guys, this limited series. We are getting to Hannibal Rising, unfortunately. But then I believe, and Collins, correct me if I'm wrong, but next up is Hannibal, the TV show, right?
Of course, we have to eat shit one more time before we get a nice gourmet meal.
And I watched half of the first season of Hannibal, the TV show, and then dropped it, and I do regret it. So this is going to be a bit of a make good for me because I've heard nothing but amazing things about the show, and I'm looking forward to it greatly. But Jason, where can the people find you?
I'm Jason, the Old Millennial. On YouTube.
Do you have anything coming up?
Oh, okay. I was weird. I was like, what? I was confused by the question. I was like,
I'm sorry. I should have phrased that a little better.
Okay. I was like, you can find him. Look for me in Leavenworth, Kansas. Walk around. You might find me there. Shop at Walmart.
Oh no.
If you walk around Leavenworth, Kansas, you might just spot Jason the Old Millennial, and he'll come up and take a selfie.
Maybe. Come to St. John's Hospital. You might find me there. That's where.
Don't say that. You're actually enticing. What if there's a stalker? They're actually going to come try to. What if somebody has a vendetta against you? You're a little kid. It's easier for them to hurt you.
Well, I didn't say where I live. That was.
You just told them where to find you at work. So basically, they're just like, I don't have to. I just got to go to your job and kill you then.
Well,
damn, okay. Jason. His name is not Jason. He doesn't live in Kansas. He lives in Arkansas.
But I'm fairly certain, Jason, you've got some music-related stuff coming up, right?
Well, I got one more album, my number one favorite album of all time to cover next week. My 100 favorite albums of all time. I think tomorrow I'll probably do a live stream covering movies and TV shows I've seen lately. that I haven't talked about on the channel. I try to do that every once in a while. What I've been watching lately. So I think tomorrow will be a good time to do that. So I got a lot of movies and TV shows to talk about. Yeah, and then I'm just what's that?
Yeah, a lot of hot takes. Especially you commented today, one movie I reviewed, you were like, I didn't like this movie. I thought it was kind of boring and just I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh, Mad Max.
He doesn't like Fury Road. He was like, he commented on my channel. I don't like Fury Road. I think it's kind of boring. I'm just like,
yeah.
Collins, what do you got?
Well, I'm doing a whole video on why Jason the Old Millennial is wrong about Fury Road and how it's a masterpiece and how he can go suck it.
Okay.
I'll never do that.
I'll be commenting on that one.
I know one person that would absolutely, Ryan knows the same person I'm talking about, that would absolutely do a whole video on why you're wrong about Fury Road.
I know exactly the person.
Matt's kind of like, I think I know too the person you're talking about. It's like, yeah, I'm not that person, but yeah, I just did the review for Fury Road, and I'm gonna try to see the Fury Roasted this weekend, and then have that review out. And I'm also playing Killer Clowns from Outer Space, so that way when I get that done, I'm trying to get that out and reviewed. And so that's what I got coming up this week. And also Small Talk every Thursday. We're doing Tuesday watch along for season 6 premiere. And then Thursday, we usually shoot it. And then we have uploaded for Tuesdays, every Tuesdays. And of course, every time we get a chance to do this. So that's awesome. And I got something coming up with Ryan. A couple things coming with Ryan, but we'll talk about that when there's time to talk about it.
Yep. Matt White, what about you?
Yeah, this has been a fun time talking about Red Dragon, even though I'm not that excited talking about Hannibal Rising, because I've heard nothing but bad things, and I've only seen bits of it, and I just checked out. But now I'm gonna have to watch the whole thing, in a big torture. Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel and explaining why Jake is such an asshole. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I got 3 reviews that I just put up on my channel of X-Men 97 season 1. I got Furiosa review up. John Krasinski's If, so definitely check that out. I'm already at 197 subscribers. Help me up to get up to 200, and you can follow my social media platforms in the link tree down in the description.
He also has an OnlyFans. Go subscribe to that.
Yeah, I do, and it's
all the backdoor action.
It's very
all the backdoor action you can get, man.
It's like the Carolina Reaper pepper, spicy. But
yeah, but I'm also definitely excited to get into the season 6 premiere watch party of Smallville. Can't wait.
Yeah, that is going to be this coming Tuesday, which will be Tuesday the 4th. So stay tuned for that. As far as other things on the channel, the 1999 project rolls on. I've got some Road 2s coming up. Like Collins mentioned, he and I are working together on something related to a certain clown prince of crime. And no, it's not what you think it is. We'll talk about that the more we get there. And then I've got a brief Road 2 coming up because next month we're getting a Kevin Costner movie, Horizon Chapter 1. So I'm going to be reviewing all of Kevin Costner's directed movies. There's only 3 of them, so it's going to be a quick road, but it will be a road.
Why do you even need to do it then? Why are you doing a Road 2 if you're just reviewing 3 movies? I mean,
because
you could do one video. You could do one video. I mean, come on.
I haven't seen any of his movies, and I wanted to do it. It's my channel, so
Kevin Costner, literally that movie. You already know that movie's gonna flop hard when that comes out.
I like Westerns and I like Costner. Leave me alone. But I've got Road to Deadpool and Wolverine coming up. These guys down here will be a part of it. I've got other guests coming on. But that is all.
Fans.
That is all for us. For Jason the Old Millennial, for Jacob Collins, for Matt Wyatt, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. You have
Go watch a Kevin Costner film.